Section 4, Inquiry into Teaching and Learning. You can access Section 4 in the left navigation tab by clicking on Section 4, Inquiry into Teaching and Learning. It'll get you to this page. We're going to go past the list of assignments right to 110, Fact Inquiry into Teaching and Learning. The purpose of the inquiry is to utilize collected data to improve teaching as measured by each standard of the California standards for the teaching profession. So I am going to click on the content block. I'm going to click on the attachment to download it. Then I will open it on my computer. Okay, Formative Assessment for California Teachers, Fact Verification, 110, Inquiry into Teaching and Learning. This is what we've been building up on this whole year with Section 1, Section 2, Section 3, and now Section 4. Formative Assessment Inquiry. Teachers, you will complete the top portion of this page. Reviewers will complete the bottom portion as well. You want to use these expectations to guide you to make sure you are meeting the minimum requirements of the assignment along with the directions on each page. 1.9 Individual Inquiry or Individual Induction Plan, IIP. You are going to insert the approved IIP boxes 1 through 6 into this document. So you've already been approved 1 through 6. You will continue with box 7 and box 8. Box 7 is about the implementation of the research. How did you directly utilize and implement the resource? You don't need to describe the resource anymore here, but you need to explain how you incorporated it into your teaching environment. Explain any based on the information that you had gathered. Number 8, the measurable results of the research of the implementation. What changes do you notice in your students based on the implementation of the resource? Describe the impact on students' achievement. So you made a change in your classroom. What was the impact on the students? This is your action plan that you will be referring to throughout the whole inquiry. Essential components for instruction. Record information to ensure all essential components for instruction are considered when designing your lesson series. All components must be met. NA or none is not an acceptable response. Share and discuss with your support provider. So you'll be completing the different areas, and I just wanted to point out as well that the beginning date of your inquiry is when the research starts. So the inquiry begins after it's approved for the most part, and that is mid-February, and it is due mid-April. So an inquiry is a minimum of 6 weeks for this time frame, minimum of 6 weeks. It does not happen over a day, it does not happen over a week, it doesn't happen over 2 weeks. So make sure that your beginning date and your ending date reflect your whole inquiry, including the research. Common Core and/or content standards. Here you're going to write what Common Core state standards or content standards will be addressed in the lesson series and the ELD standards as well. If you are a private school and you don't use the Common Core or the state standards, you will be referring to whatever standards your school has implemented or in place. Assessment for learning. Describe the planned entry-level assessment that will be used to measure the skills necessary for mastery of the standards. You will describe that here as well. What is your initial assessment going to be to get a baseline of your students? Progress monitoring. What assessments, teacher tools are you going to be using throughout the inquiry to measure the progress, to measure the implementation of the research, and to make any changes you may need to make? And the assessment of learning, this is where you'll be describing the summative assessment that will be used to measure the skills necessary for the mastery of the standards. Relevance. How will students apply the learning to real-world situations? How will other subjects or subject matter be integrated into this lesson series? Technology. During this lesson series, how will students interact with technology to enhance and/or publish their understanding of the content? So remember, over this 6 to 8 weeks, how will you be able to integrate technology in one way or another with the students? The rest are just discussion questions that you'll be checking off that you discussed with your support provider. The materials, incorporating your IEP, the focus question, remembering always go back to the focus question. Make sure what you are doing reflects the focus question. Learning goals with families and students, collaborating with other educators, supporting English language acquisition. Now we get to the entry-level assessment, the one that you described above. You're going to take your entry-level assessment and you are going to first sort your entry-level assessment. The directions are right here on how to get the 4 piles of student work that you're going to have in front of you that you're going to examine. These are bar graphs. So a thorough understanding, an adequate understanding, a partial understanding, or a minimal understanding. The students' names, their first name, are going to go in whatever category you had placed them in following these directions here. Their names can start at the top and go down, or start at the bottom and go up. It doesn't matter, but there doesn't need to be spaces between their names. It's just simply a bar graph for you to look at the data of the initial assessment. The entry-level assessment reflection. Here you're going to take a look at those assessment results and answer a couple questions here. What do the results tell you about what your students understand and are able to do? And then what do you think are some possible factors to consider for each of these levels as well? Then how do you provide interventions for students categorized as minimal or partial? And what additional support may be needed, and how will you be differentiating for the students categorized as adequate or thorough? I'm going to go back up to the top because I wanted to show you that you are going to be inserting a copy of the grades scored entry-level assessment for each focus student, and you're going to label them focus student 1, 2, or 3. See focus student selection C4, which is what we will be getting to next. So you're going to be saving students' work and inserting it. Focus student selection. These students' initial assessments were inserted in C3 entry-level assessment. So you're going to pick 3 focus students, an English learner or someone struggling with academic language, a special population student, and a student of choice, and then alternates as well because they may be absent a day that you're getting observed. And you're going to take a look at those assessments and place the students where they need to be in this document. And then you're going to give a little bit more information about the different focus students, your EL, your special population, and then your student of choice. These are going to be your 3 focus students throughout the whole inquiry. Next, we have a lesson plan template for a planned observation that's going to take place in the middle of your inquiry with your support provider. Just going to skip through that. And then the inquiry observation record that your support provider will be completing, taking notes. And they're going to focus on, again, your 3 focus students as well, so it's important they know who they are before they come in for the observation. And then you're going to analyze the student work that the support provider observed. This is one of your progress monitoring, and you're going to save the focus students 1, 2, and 3. You're going to save their work from this lesson and upload it behind this page. And then towards the end of your inquiry, you're going to give a summative assessment to the whole group. You want to see, what happened over this inquiry, what happened with the student achievement. And you're going to, once again, divide them into the categories, place them in the bar graph where they belong, and then provide a summative assessment or reflection on the students, the class as a whole, and then the focus students independently as well. The last part of the inquiry is the reflection and the application. Based on the overall inquiry process, respond to the questions below and discuss with your support provider. So this is where you get to reflect on the whole inquiry process and what you were able to accomplish with your students.